summer transfer deals make sense or not. We're going to speak about McAllister, Kovacic, Havertz, Madison, and Nkunku. So make we see what go on. Welcome to Premier 7, everyone. I am your host, as usual, Ryan Nelson. And today I will be speaking about the summer transfer window of 2023 into 24 for the new campaign. And I told you before that I will be on board, and here I am now. I am hoping though that you all are having a wonderful day because we all know that it is a summer and it is very hot. But the transfer window, of course, is a bit boring. And Premier 7 allows persons to have their say. So I'm going to speak about 5 players. Their deals are already confirmed and it was agreed and done. So it's not about talking about players so which the transfer is in progress. These players are already confirmed and signed. So the topic for today is all about summer transfer deals make sense or not by way of the player's profile. Before I go into the player's details, let's have a general discussion about the transfer. The transfer market has opened and we know that. But to me, it is one of the most boring transfer windows. Normally, things would have been done for many clubs and the excitement would be there even before players have signed. But I tell you what, every season, every term, every year brings about new expectations and new results. But for me, I am hoping that the transfer window gets better and better. Not in the case of which persons will start to lose their temper or lose their control, because that is normally the case whenever we're watching a game on TV or at the stadium. And if you're listening on the radio, it's the same thing. Before these players have signed, though, for the clubs, there were numerous talks that they'll be going to different clubs, and at the end of the day, the best club signed these players. But we want to do some more deep diving into seeing if these players do make sense. Because sometimes players signs for club and it doesn't make any sense. And I don't want to point fingers at anyone, but let me use an example. Sanchez, when he went to Manchester United. Man City was in for him, but United stole it and it was a disaster. Now, on the show, I am going to speak about 2 things in specific for the players. I'm going to look on the transfer market by way of their profile, and of course, I'm going to do a small player assessment for each because showing the statistical details makes sense, but what is it about the players as to why they even signed for the clubs? So the first person on the list will be Alexis McAllister. Alexis McAllister is now a Liverpool player. And McAllister to me is a top player. And McAllister was at Brighton at the time, whereas he wasn't earning that big amount of money before the move. McAllister was earning £63 million at Brighton. However, he signed for Liverpool for £35 million on a 5-year deal. Now he's going to earn £150 million per week. A lot of money. First thing that comes to mind, this player move for the money. But let's dive into the statistical details of McAllister before moving forward. So McAllister, by now we should know his age. He's 24. 24 years of age. 35 appearances for Brighton last season. 10 goals, 2 assists. The Premier League is a difficult league, and for McAllister to score 10 goals in a Brighton team, it shows that this player have class, because guess what? Looking up here, he won the World Cup and he has won other cups. So he's a player that have quality, not just the potential, but the quality. 82% starting 11, 84 minutes, 17 goal participation. All of these is in percentage. His main position is attacking midfield. Based on those details, it shows that McAllister is a player that, even though he wants better for himself, joining a Liverpool team is a better idea. Not a case of which he decides to join Liverpool for the money, really and truly, because guess what? Then again, if you are a top player, or if you see yourself being a player that deserves a lot, then you're going to move for the money. But in the case of McAllister, going into a Liverpool's team, he will bring something that makes a difference. Liverpool doesn't have a real number 10, or let's say a reliable box to box player, because Thiago Alcantara is a glass. James Milner wasn't really utilized in the midfield. Sometimes he plays in different positions. He is gone at Brighton. Henderson is the captain, but guess what? Age is a factor. So having McAllister in place to boost that midfield, it is a blessing, not under disguise, but a straightforward blessing. In that case, for McAllister, playing for Klopp in a system that is high pressing football, that was the case when he was playing for Brighton last season under the Zerbi. So integrating into a team like a Liverpool with a better system on and off the pitch, it is a benefit for McAllister. And on Premier 7, I have my say, and fans do have their say. For me, McAllister is a decent signing for Liverpool, because even though Liverpool is not in the Champions League, they're in the Europa League. It doesn't matter to McAllister. He believes in growth and development, and Liverpool do have some top players, or players with potential who can go on the next level. For example, a Gakpo, a Nunes, of course, a Luis Diaz. You know, Van Dijk isn't bad, but he's coming to the end of his career very soon for some persons. But guess what? Having a McAllister in your team, it is a big thumbs up. And the transfer window has just opened. So that shows that Liverpool should go into the market to get some more business done. A McAllister alone will not be the right deal alone. But so far, a McAllister in a Liverpool team is a good signing. Next on the list will be Mateo Kovacic, the Croatian boy. He was at Chelsea and now he's at Man City. For Kovacic, he spent his years at Chelsea. He used to earn 150 million pounds per week, but Man City decides to not show his wages as yet. I was doing some checks now, but it was unrevealed, undisclosed. That shows that City is doing something with good structuring, because it doesn't make any sense to just jump up and display your players' wages like that. There has to be some form of structure in place. Nothing in haste, nothing in rush. Take your time, and guess what? I will reveal Kovacic wages whenever the time has come. Now, many persons would be saying that Kovacic to a Man City is an in-between deal of a good and a bad deal. But before I speak about that in details, let's look on the statistical evidence for Kovacic as well from last season. I don't want for persons to really say that the season that he played last season wasn't good. It wasn't, of course, but don't use that one season to judge the player, right? Kovacic last season, 27 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists. Chelsea was absolutely a mist last season. 45% starting 11, 50% minutes, 8% goal participation. Look at it. Chelsea wasn't scoring a lot of goals last season, and Kovacic is a midfield player. He's not a number 10, he's a box to box player, and sometimes he's deployed in different positions as well in the midfield, like a deeper role. Watching football is easy on the eyes compared to playing the game. And I'm not saying that I am picking up for players to play bad, but there are more things when they're on the pitch. If you play football, you can understand. Kovacic is a player to me that is a quality player. At age 29, he is in his prime, and guess what? He has won several titles, 4 Champions League and other cups, as you can see there. It shows that Kovacic in a Manchester City team can be a revelation, but I wouldn't say a replacement. He's a different type of player than a Ilkay Gundogan, who has gone to Barcelona on a free transfer. And persons are saying, why did Gundogan leave and go to a Barcelona? Why? What is wrong with that? He won everything at Man City. Take a move. I hope that he don't turn out into the same thing as what happens to Aguero when he left to Barcelona. But players will be replaced. And Kovacic is a player like this. He's very robust. He's powerful, he's strong, and he knows to do the dirty works. I like Kovacic. Other clubs are looking for Kovacic. And again, in regards to what I said about McAllister earlier on, McAllister left Brighton and go to a different club, Liverpool, because he wants better for his career. I believe that Kovacic will be earning more at Man City, but I'm hoping he doesn't fall into the same shoes as a Calvin Phillips who robbed the bench. He robbed the bench. But then again, he cannot replace or play before or ahead of a Rodri. Similar age group, but he received games in different leagues or in different competitions. So a Mateo Kovacic in a Man City team will bring something different. I'm not sure if Bernardo Silva will be leaving Man City though, but if he left in the future, then it would be more work to be done for a Man City. But Man City knows how to go about in getting deals done in the transfer market because many persons, when Erling Haaland replaced Aguero, he's a goal machine, yes, when he was at Dortmund and other clubs. Haaland came in and scored more than 50 goals in total throughout the entire season for Man City in the Premier League and other competitions. But he broke the record. So Kovacic coming into a Man City team, I don't want for persons to be thinking that he would not make a difference because Gundogan was the main man in the midfield at times. Every player are different, and Pep is a tactician. If you realize other coaches are adapting Pep's style of play, so he will know how to integrate Kovacic in his team. Man City is a club like this, you know. When they see players that they want, they will go all out for them, but they won't overspend or fight for players that doesn't worth a particular price. No shade thrown at Declan Rice and Arsenal. If Declan Rice was confirmed and a done deal was done, he will be on the program. But right now, I'm going to touch on another player who was confirmed. But guess what? For Mateo Kovacic in a Man City's team, he's a powerful player. He's not an injury-prone player, so he will receive the benefits. He delivers for Croatia, and he delivers for Chelsea before, and I think he will do the same for Man City. Next on the list will be this man, Kai Havertz. To me, his transfer is a transfer that can be a bit confusing. And Before I even dive into his details, just to point out, Kovacic, he signed for Man City for about 30 million pounds. Now back to Havertz. Havertz, he has signed for Arsenal, 65 million pounds. Is he overpriced? Arsenal is desperate? Maybe, maybe not. But does Havertz make sense? He wasn't the top player at Chelsea. He wasn't a striker, but to me, Havertz is a lukewarm type of player. He's a bit lukewarm in terms of delivery, but Havertz knows how to deliver, but he's not clicking. Reminds me of a Sancho and sometimes a Bailey by Leverkusen. The connection is there. Now, for Havertz, his profile. He has won the Champions League against Man City. Remember that crucial goal. Centre forward, as we already know. But looking at his statistics last season, 35 appearances, 7 goals, 1 assist in a Chelsea team which was garbage indeed. It was absolutely garbage, finishing less than 10. But Havertz played many games, 79% starting 11, 75 minutes, 21% goal participation. So it shows that Havertz received his chances. But playing him as a number 9 isn't Havertz's style. He's not that poacher of a goal scorer, even though you have different type of strikers. But Havertz, to me, is like a false 9, can be an attacking midfield player. But for Chelsea, he played mainly as a striker. It affects his style of play, not his confidence, because to me, Havertz is not a confidence person with issues. To me, he's always that person that looks as if he's alright. Not a player that I really like, though, to be honest, in terms of his attitude. But every players are different. It takes a coach to make a player better as well. And if you're in an Arteta's team, then you have to play properly. And I know that many persons would not be disagreeing with me right now because Arsenal under the management of Arteta is different. Arsenal in the market right now is a team that I would say is right up there with Man City in terms of the transfer market and in terms of how the players are performing. Having an average into an Arsenal team would be not an upgrade on a player who was left or on a player who was there, but an improvement for the club overall in terms of squad depth. Havertz may not start all games, like a Trossard, who would never start all games as well, or a Jorginho. But when you have players like an Havertz, who is flexible in terms of playing different positions, on the right wing, number 10, as a striker, it brings dynamics into the team, right? I think Havertz can make a difference for Arsenal, but is he a player that will scare oppositions? Yes and no. What teams will he scare? I don't even know any big team that Havertz will scare. But guess what? Havertz can deliver. It really takes a good coach again to get the best out of players. Look at Timo Werner. When he came to Chelsea, he was a flop. He went back to the Bundesliga and he started to perform. And not all clubs suits all players. But before I even touch up on the other two players, the market nowadays for football is different from back in the days. And back in the days, players like in the early 2000 and in the 90s and before were better than these players these days. To me, that's my opinion. And things needs to get better, but things won't change in terms of how expensive these players are. And just as though the rates for the players are increasing in terms of the price tag as well, it is the same for Premier 7. 127 subscribers. So you guys out there are making the channel continue to go and perform because it is a very difficult thing to get subscribers and to, you know, get things done in terms of video production. But once it is for the fans, I have to be here. With that being said, thank you all for subscribing, for sharing, for watching, for liking, for commenting on the channel because it means a lot to me and I know it means a lot to you all. So Kai Havertz, does it make sense? I think it does. Next on the list will be The man from Leicester City, the relegated club. He left the relegated club and to a club that isn't a big club. James Madison, he is now a player at Tottenham Hotspurs. And to me, I stopped trying to feel excited about signings these days because the excitement can be there, but when the player starts to perform, it can be good or it can be bad. So rather we be excited, we just try our best to be on a level for which we can assess them, but not being biased. James Madison was a top player at Leicester City, but will he be a top player at Spurs? Madison is relatively young as well. I don't think he passes 28. He's a young player. A player that looks like he plays somewhat like how Beckham's plays. And if I'm wrong, correct me, of course. I am up for corrections. This man, Madison, he has won trophies. He has won 2 trophies, not bad. And 30 appearances, 10 goals, 9 assists. Is that bad? Not at all in a lesser team that was relegated. 74% starting 11, 73 minutes based on percentage, 37% goal participation. It shows that he's a player of quality. And for him, he decides to join Spurs on a 5-year deal, £40 million. But all players decides to upgrade from a small package to a big package. 110 at Leicester, but at Tottenham, 170. That is the difference. So he deserves his money, but again, players are going for the money, in the opinion of other persons. But I would go for better wages. I'm playing football for a long time, so why not go into a club for more money? Some players go to club for their bread and butter and don't want to leave the clubs, but the clubs needs to be ruthless and get rid of those players. I mean, Madison is an attacking midfielder, and other clubs were looking out for him before he even went to Spurs. But is it a good move to go to Spurs? Ah, boy, I'm not even sure. Because Spurs is a club that is yet to win a trophy. They have won trophies in the past, but up to this date, more than 10 years, Spurs has yet to lift a trophy. And with Harry Kane looking to leave, maybe he stay because he's not a pushy person, then maybe Madison can help Spurs to win a small trophy. You never know. But Madison going to a Spurs can be like a upgrade in terms of table positions, but it can be a downgrade to his career because Spurs isn't a team that is a top team. Yes, they finish in the top four couple years well, but not like the big dogs. Not like the Reigns, not like the Roman Reigns, the bloodline, full of gems. Spurs is not full of gems because they don't win trophies. They're empty, as what Chronic Law would say, feeling empty in his song. We know the things, so we talk the things. But Madison, you go to a Tottenham, what can you do? You can score goals. I think he can score more than 10 goals than when he was at Leicester City, but it boils down to the chemistry, the team chemistry. But for me, it is hard to say if it is even a good deal. Does it make sense to me? In between. Moving from Madison to the man from the Bundesliga, Christopher Nkunku. This player he missed the World Cup last season, and to me, if he went to the World Cup, France would have more so whipped Argentina. But guess what? Things do change for players. Look at David De Gea. He was one of the best players at Manchester United, but guess what? He's receiving some lashes. He's not good enough. He's not this. He's not that. That is the role of football. Football is a business, people. So, Nkunku, you now comes to Chelsea on a 6-year deal, not like 5 like Havertz at, you know, an Arsenal, nor Madison at Tottenham or a Kovacic at City or McAllister at Liverpool. You decide to take 1 extra year, put it to 6. But will you score more than 6 goals? Let me use a different thing. Would you bring Chelsea to 6th place? Because you may not have that chance to bring Chelsea to 6th place. Chelsea doesn't score goals in Nkunku, but you can come by and you can make a huge difference. Let's have a look on Nkunku's profile. When he was in the Bundesliga at Leipzig, he was earning about 70 million pounds, but now 124 at Chelsea per week. He's a player that is scoring goals in the Bundesliga. 25 appearances, 16 goals, 6 assists. 59% starting 11, 62% in terms of minutes, 34% goal participation. Chelsea is a club that I realize are not good in having number 9s. And we can go way back to the days. You know? Chelsea, when last can you remember top number 9 for Chelsea? Drogba. Yeah, Drogba was the top number 9 at Chelsea. But passing Drogba coming down the line, disaster. Lukaku? Champions League Lukaku? I don't want to throw anything at Lukaku, but he is a prime example of being like a flop. And I hate the word flop, but he, in football sense, is a flop at Chelsea. Timo Werner was a flop as well. Yeah. But then Kunku, it shows here that he's a player who have the stats. And I spoke about the stats thing on numerous occasions. Stats prove things, but it doesn't prove everything, if you get what I'm saying here. For example, a player can be scoring goals, but is that player contributing to the team's chemistry properly? A player can score like 5 goals in 5 games for himself, but at the end of the day, the team can lose the games. Compared to a player who score like 3 goals in 5, but make 5 assists. He contributes more to the team because the team then again would win. That is what I want persons to understand. Individual statistics shows a lot, but does it contribute to the team in winning games? Yes and no. And then Kunku in a Chelsea's team is a bright signing because he plays up there as a forward and he can play as a false 9 and as an attacking midfielder. But is Nkunku going to benefit under Pochettino? Did Pochettino purchase Nkunku? No. So guess what? The story is up for talk. But Nkunku is young, 25. But Pochettino knows how to get the best out of young players. Chelsea is really trimming their squad, They're using the manscaped to trim the bush to make the yard look. Now got this. Chelsea is making some good things done in terms of getting rid of players that are not good enough. I think Sterling had really failed at Chelsea. And I like watch Raheem Sterling. But when he was at City, he was a revelation. When he was playing for Liverpool in his short terms, very good. And for England, Southgate will tell you the story. But Nkunku, you should know. But for me, he's a very good signing. He's a very good signing. He knows how to score goals because Chelsea is a flop team last season whenever it comes on to score goals. But some players may go to teams and flop. Look at Rashford when he is at Manchester United. If Ten Hag did not came in, Rashford could have gone like to a PSG. Maybe he win something, maybe not. Look at a Pepe when he came to Arsenal. He was playing very well for Lille. And then he came to Arsenal and it was like a shadow of himself. It happens to many, many players. Many, many, many players. And that is the thing. Look at Leon Bailey now, because I have to give a big shout out to the Reggae Boys very quick and very fast. They have won against Trinidad and Tobago, but I have to give a special shout out to the Premier League players. Demarai Gray, who is at Everton, I think he needs to be at a better club. He's very flair, the best player for the Reggae Boys. Leon Bailey scored a goal. I think he listened to the show and was being critiqued, not criticized in a bad way. And Whisper, 17, growing, scoring goals. So the Premier League is recruiting good players, but the players have to make a decision at times, man. Harry Kane, push for a transfer to leave Spurs, man. Your trophy cabinet It is full of cobwebs. Yeah, leave the club, man, and get something better for yourself. Now, I spoke about the players, right? And I spoke about them in terms of the transfer market and an assessment. For summary, do you as fans believe, though? Let me ask you the question first. Do you think that these transfers make sense? Because Nkunku was signed at Chelsea for £52 million. That was good. But does it make sense, really and truly? These players will benefit financially. The clubs may benefit as well in terms of getting shirt sales done and whatever. Coaches will still keep their jobs. But personally, does these players make sense? In summary, McAllister makes sense. That is a tick. Into a Liverpool's team, which is building now, getting rid of bad players or old players, and want to bring in more players. But Liverpool is bittersweet in terms of the transfer. One signing done. But he can grow, McAllister, because young and old players are there to groom him. And I believe it is the best club that he went to. To play in the Europa League, of course, yeah. Brighton would have been in the Europa League, but Liverpool is in the Europa League under better management and under a better coach. Kovacic, hmm, 5 years, bread and butter, money. You're making more money. And you can win more things at Man City, with better players than Chelsea, less stress. But under Pep, more work. He's a Croatian. He knows how to work. So it's a good deal. Havertz, no. It's a bittersweet deal to me. I don't think it makes much sense. £65 million, higher wages, of course, you want more money. But Arteta, he wanted Havertz to play in different position. It's like a team that has different system of play. And that is what you call being dynamic. You cannot be static in football like a Matic. You have to bring something different, man. So having such player with different style of playing thing in your club and having a manager like Arteta who will rip him apart if his attitude is stink, because I don't like his attitude in Havertz, to be honest. He won't be listening to my program, but others will. I don't like Havertz's attitude, but being in a club that can make you better, your attitude will maybe change as well. Some players are dogs, some players are not dogs. Get what I'm saying here? So for him, it is a bittersweet deal. It makes sense and it doesn't make sense. Madison makes sense in terms of moving from the relegation from the championship into the Premier League back. But it doesn't make sense going to a Spurs because, well, they have a new manager. Madison can make a difference, but Spurs is not winning anything. Could this be their year? Maybe, maybe not, But Madison, on a personal note, not with Owen James, but with Premier 7. I think Madison, he should know, but to me, it is not a good deal to go to Spurs. You won't be winning anything. If you do, it's a surprise. And it is not even a birthday. But it could be like a birthday for Harry Kane. For me, it is not a good. And Kunku at Chelsea, at the time, it was a very good deal. It was a very good deal because Chelsea is ruthless. And I love that about Chelsea. And getting rid of players like Koulibaly, who came to Chelsea at the wrong time. I don't know what happened to Mendy. He left as well. Cucurella is still there, people. But maybe under the management of a Pochettino. Yeah. But Nkunku coming to Chelsea makes sense because Chelsea need a goal poacher or a goal scorer. Chelsea has flopped in terms of number nines over the years. And it doesn't make sense for Nkunku to come by and do the same. But I think Nkunku can make a difference. He can rip away the curse. You know? He can rip away the curse. A lot of number nines have failed at Chelsea and even at Manchester United because things and times change. But integrating your players into a better system can make a difference. But for him, it is a good deal. But 6 years, man, I think you should follow like a Haaland. 3 years, man. If I'm going to play for a club, I'm not signing a 6 year deal because things can change and you want to leave the club, but guess what? You are tied down to your contract. You want to make a move for better in your career, you are not allowed to do so. And Kunku on a 6 year deal, The money's going to be good, but you may suffer like a Modric, who is watching Arsenal making the way. Yes, Arsenal did not win a trophy, but Arsenal did do something better than a Chelsea. So players, please make sense in terms of what you're doing, man. Don't go to clubs for money, really. If well, go for the money because things are different these days. Players want to enjoy their lives. They want to be set. But remember that you are playing for your career as well. And the earlier the better when you strike and make some good decision. When you make good decisions in life, it is better for you. Because at the end of the day, making bad decisions, it costs your life or it costs your career. So it is the end of the show, to be honest, on Premier 7. And the channel is making growth. It is very, very hard, people. I need your assistance in terms of subscriptions. So continue to watch, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Premier 7. And turn on your notification bells for the details because the transfer window, I said it. I'm going to speak about the transfer window, and I'm speaking about 5 players now. I spoke about 5 players by way of like a general discussion, right? So I spoke about McAllister, spoke about Kovacic, Havertz, Madison, and then Kunku. So it's time for me to go. Do have yourself a wonderful day, and I will speak to you once more.